Hi everyone, welcome to TGIF, another Friday, another episode. In the past, we've spoken about a couple of architecture patterns in the world of data, like Lakehouse architecture and data mesh. Of course, if you look at data mesh, the core tenet is domain-driven design. To understand more about how do you approach and implement a domain-driven design on Azure, watch this episode. So to take us through the domain-driven design, I'm pleased to welcome Srikantan Shankaran, Senior Technical Architect at Center. Srikantan, welcome to TGIF.
Yeah, hi Sandeep, very happy to be here again.
Wonderful. So data mesh, domain-driven design, your quick reflection.
Sure. Actually, from a recent conversation with all the enterprise customers, we see that most of them are on the journey where they are moving from the on-prem to the cloud, or they have the data spread across multiple clouds, on-prem, other clouds, SaaS clouds and all that. And the endeavor has been to try to consolidate all the information into a place, for example, in Azure, and then be able to sort of bring out analytics on top of that. But there also is an increasing thought process where the organizations are pretty complex. And so there are different entities or line of business stakeholders in the organization who own a set of data, and then they sort of have this view that they ought to be managing the life cycle and how data is made available to other departments and all that. So there also is an increasing notion where such an organizations want to have this capability where every domain wants to own the data, be it the pipelines or how it is sourced from, and how frequently data is sourced and how it is validated, and they want to sort of be the authority to say that, hey, this is what the data is, which ought to be used for analytics. But that said, it also requires that the organization have a central view of all these data sources, because we have so many of these data domains. How do you make sure, how do you sort of discover who are the right owners, and still be able to apply an organization-wide policy to it? So that's the whole notion of domain-driven data model, and how governance is central, and then sort of make sure it has an overarching influence on the model to make sure that it works for an organization.
Perfect. So we are talking about industry models here, right? End of the day, the domain-driven design starts with you having a domain-specific, industry-specific schema for your data lake as an instance. So how do we approach this, and what are the platform building blocks on Azure which support this design thinking?
Sure. Yeah, actually, Microsoft acquired a company by name ADRM a couple of years back. ADRM is a company which has been, in several decades, they have been in this business of creating industry-specific data models. So such models have been used by customers widely, and they have been really sort of seen the test of time, all those battles, and so they actually distilled out all the best practices and what typically any organization would need to build intelligence on top of. And these are actually available ready to use. And you'll be surprised to know Azure Synapse Analytics lets you actually unlock these sort of templates. You can choose whatever template refers to your domain, and then you can go ahead and provision them. Probably in just a matter of minutes, you're up and running on the new data model. So all that remains after that is that you build those pipelines and ingest data into this model, and then you have all the intelligence from across all the different systems in one particular place, and then you're able to have a holistic view on that. All the language that is used is also representative of that particular domain, and not specific to an ERP specific schema, which is sort of known only to those folks. So you look at this data model, you understand what it is about, and then it's very user friendly to build a semantic model on top of. Business users are extremely comfortable looking at that, and they're able to build those insights very easily without depending overtly on the IT department.
Right. Now you mentioned a very interesting point here. Business users will find it very easy to relate to it. So one of the core, I would say, tenet also is data discovery when it comes to data mesh architecture, right? So I think domain knowledge being infused into database schema and domain specialist ability for them to unearth insights or discover data at ease is again very central to this design approach.
Exactly, yes.
Wonderful. I think it's time to do a quick demo, Srikanth. Why don't you take us through how do you implement this in Synapse?
Sure. So I think what you have here is the Azure portal. I have deployed a Synapse Analytics resource, and when you go to the home page, you see a knowledge center out here. And when you click on Browse Gallery is when actually you see the entire sort of span of all the domain model schemas that we actually ship as a part of Synapse Analytics.
So this is quite exhaustive content. I see pharmaceutical, I see retail, utilities, automobile, life insurance. This is pretty cool actually. And I think for a business looking at which domain they are in, it's easy to spin off something like this.
Exactly, yes. For example, so let me pick up this example of utilities, for example, and then when you click on continue, on the subsequent page, you will notice that it shows you the entire schema in all its detail. And then the beauty of this is that so once you have studied this particular data schema, and in case you think there are some kind of customization, or you want to add some delta that is specific to your organization, it lets you do all that. It's almost like you have a schema to start with, and then you just do the sort of delta on top of it, and then you're good to go for your specific industry. And then, yeah, as you see, you can actually look at all those tables and all the relationship between them. And then by just clicking on this button, create database, it just deploys it to your lakehouse database. So I think that's the ease with which you are able to sort of encapsulate and sort of deploy, stand up a industry-specific domain model, and then start building your pipelines.
Thanks so much, Srikantan.
Thanks a lot.
Wonderful. This is a fabulous, short, crisp demo. So what we just witnessed is a classic demonstration of how do we spin off a data lake with industry models. I think that's central and pivotal to how you can start your DMS journey where you're looking at domain-driven design. Srikantan, thanks once again. And for all viewers, thanks for joining us today. Keep watching TGIF. Have a wonderful Friday and a great weekend ahead. Bye-bye.
Bye.